Welcome back to the Game Link podcast. I'm your host, Lebby, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Elmer.
Hey there, ho there.
This is episode 11. Today we're going to be talking about The House of the Dead.
I think I'm gonna get my picking choices revoked for quite a while after this one.
Yeah, I suggested it a couple times too, so no big deal. But I mean, it's good to get it out of the way, I think. Um, Gosh, when did this movie even come out?
2003.
2003. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think we have a lot to unpack here. But before we do, it's been a couple weeks. So what have you been up to, Elmer?
Car trouble and going to go see Uncharted. That's about it.
Yeah, how was Uncharted?
Uh,
Without giving away too many spoilers.
Keep it to a minimum because I knew absolutely nothing going into it. I played the first game. I played probably about a good 2/3 of it back when I was in college and had a lot of fun with it. Beyond that, I really had no real attachment to the game series just because
Mm.
I'm not a PlayStation gamer really, or haven't been for a very long
You're
time.
not, I mean, I might be out of balance here, but you're not really missing much. I've played a little bit of the Uncharted games, and it's like a climbing simulator, ladders, climbing, things like that.
That was kind of what I hate to say it because look, the story to it and the set pieces in it, they look fantastic, but kind of what I gathered from it was what if we did Indiana Jones in the guise of, or in a third person shooter in the style of Gears of War or something like that,
Hmm.
which kind of is what it seemed and kind of what it felt like when I played it. Anyway, I have no ill will towards it. I really like the game and stuff like that. So when I heard they're making an Uncharted movie, I'm like, why are you going to make a movie based off of something that you made to get the full thrills and enjoyment out of because you can't make it as a movie? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it it was you said it confusingly, but I think
Why make a movie about a concept that the only way or the best way to experience it is the fact that it can't be a movie is
right,
what I meant to put it.
right. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, and I mean we're obviously going to have to do a whole episode about this movie eventually, but
But I will say this though, that was my expectation going in. Coming out though, I had a lot of fun with it. As I jokingly said to you, it's the best National Treasure 3 that could have been. But no, I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. Tom Holland was pretty funny. He's not Nathan Drake at all. Speaking of which, everybody, one spoiler: there's a cameo in that movie that literally, ugh, it was like a record scratch. It's
I'm
so
surprised they
pathetic.
didn't get what's his name? The Hawkeye.
Oh, Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner, yeah. I'm surprised they didn't get him to play Nathan Drake
Must
because
have been a little
he's in
younger.
freaking everything these days. um, yeah, so that's cool. How's your car doing? You get it all fixed?
Oh, not my car.
Oh,
No, I joke. I joke at you, sweetie. Had some car issues on the night the night of the Super Bowl, the day before
oh,
Valentine's Day, and we got stuck up north in a blizzard up in Mora, Minnesota. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
oh,
It turned
jeez.
out to be a good night and it was fun. But I mean, just all of a sudden you're expecting, yay, we get to go home, and then finding out, oh, we're snowed in.
Yeah, I almost forgot that we had a blizzard. That was crazy.
Hmm.
That was a lot of snow. All right. Well, cool. Yeah, this week hit, well, this last few weeks, my house flooded again. Third time in 2 months. So we're dealing with that. But yeah, I actually got my new bed. So I'm super excited about that. I watched the new Texas Chainsaw on Netflix. And all I'll say about that at this point is I don't regret watching it, but I did roll my eyes a few times. Overall, I think it was good though. Let's see what else.
I just imagine just somewhere you have a bowl, it's like his Twitter, or like he gets like a Twitter ping saying that like somebody's talking about him on YouTube or on Twitch or whatnot that someone's doing a podcast on it. So he just pulls that going, I didn't entirely hate it, and that's what, but at the same time, I didn't fully enjoy it. And he just puts it up for the review of House of the Dead like 20 some years later. Someone liked my movie.
Yeah, he like puts it on the website. Um, yeah, no, I also I started playing Borderlands 3 again because I never finished it, so I'm playing that with some with a couple friends and I'm having a lot of fun. That's a good one.
What class are you doing?
I am a siren,
Hmm.
playing a siren, which I usually play a siren, and I just figured I wanted to be comfortable. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you haven't played it, I mean, it's Borderlands.
I got my ass kicked so much in the first one that, let's put it this way, when I fought my first boss in it, took me about 10 tries, killed him. I went, yeah, awesome. So then I paused the game. I went to my other roommates at the time. We made dinner, and then I finally got back, and by then my Xbox had turned itself off, and I went, it
Oh
didn't save, did it?
no. Oh, that's the worst.
So the game just then went flying out the third story window,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've never played Borderlands since.
Well, that makes sense. Well, yeah, cool. Yeah, I had a fun few weeks. It was nice to have a little bit of time off anyway for President's Day and whatnot. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately, main reason we didn't do this episode last week, it was just kind of on me. I just finished washing my two puppies as well as the dishes at my house, not necessarily in that order for sanitary reasons. But anyway, got done washing them, sat down, was like, oh, I better start getting ready to head down south here, and realized I don't feel good, and proceeded to then vomit for the next 45 minutes. And went,
Oh,
okay, I'm not going down south today.
yeah. Yeah, no, if we ever have an unexpected weekend off, sorry guys, but it's gonna happen every now and then. Um, but yeah, House of the Dead. Before we start to unwrap this movie, I am gonna enjoy talking about the game while I can. So if you didn't know, House of the Dead is like a first person horror game shooter. It was made by Sega, came out in 1996. And it's one of the games responsible for popularizing the zombie craze that like came in the late 90s, early 2000s, along with Resident Evil, of course. But yeah, I played this game like a lot in the arcades. It's that arcade cabinet where you have the guns in the holsters and you point them at the screen and you shoot zombies and it kind of like walks you through the level. Uh, so I played it a lot in the arcades as a kid, and I really liked it, but I never really had it on home console or anything. Um, I do remember the voice acting being terrible though. um,
So great, though.
yeah, they released it in arcades and on home console, like for the Dreamcast and I think the Sega Saturn. Um, but then they released for the Dreamcast and I think PC, the Typing of the Dead,
Mhm.
which was just the House of the Dead, but instead of shooting the zombies, they all had like a word underneath them that you had to correctly type, and then it would shoot them for you, which is really weird, but people like it, so
Let's put
I.
it this way. In high school or middle school, when we had different typing classes, if you didn't take band or choir like I didn't,
Mhm.
we played a game called Typer Shark. I can tell you right now, I much rather would have been playing keyboard or typing in
Typing of the
the
Dead,
dead.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for
As in,
sure.
yeah. No.
Yeah, well, and I guess they're remaking the first House of the Dead on the Switch right now, or
Ooh.
it's coming out soon, something like that.
Hmm.
Don't quote me on that one. I just saw a rumor about that. So the team that started developing the game in 1995, they didn't speak any English at all. So they actually came up with a name of the game by translating various popular like horror themed phrases that are in Japanese. They were just translating them to English, and I kid you not, picking the one that sounded the coolest. Or that looked the coolest, not even sounded the coolest. So they really didn't care if the name like meant anything once it was translated to English. They just wanted it to look cool.
I mean, it is fitting because, in the first House of the Dead, you're like in a big castle style like mansion, kind of going around and shooting at zombies. So it is befitting, but you come to think of it, ever since that, it's just like it's never really fit really.
Yeah, and I love these Japanese companies from the 90s that like they just pick their names by like who cares? We'll hold a drawing or you know
Donkey Kong,
right.
Japanese to English dictionary, Donkey Kong, stubborn gorilla.
Yeah. Yeah, I love stuff like that. But yeah, so they built the game on the Virtual Cop game engine, which makes a lot of sense.
That actually
Um,
makes all this sense. I never thought about that till now. That yeah, it's pretty much the
yeah,
exact same
it's
game
the
engine.
same thing. And they really wanted to have a complex story with like a system of branching paths and decisions you can make and whatever. Um, and then have like different endings and all that stuff. But they didn't have enough time to get all that extra stuff put in the game. So we ended up with like a really fun arcade shooter that's like actually kind of bland when you when you try to break it apart. Um, but they were on such a time crunch that they didn't even make any rough sketches of the enemies or anything. They'd like it would go right from like a concept to I'll start just programming it and making it. Um, the to tone down the violence for certain countries like Germany and stuff where you couldn't have blood, all they did was just palette swap the blood to like green or purple or blue. So yeah, they were just like it was like they just like reskinned Virtua Cop. They just did it in the fastest time that they could. Um, so one of the funny thing I found, which I had such a hard time not telling you earlier, Elver, was um oh no, yeah, here it is. So in one of the levels, a guy in the control room says, "Challenger, go at throttle up," seconds before an explosion. So yes, they put a Challenger joke.
They put a joke about the goddamn space shuttle exploding 12 years, or is it 10 years after? 10 years after it
Yeah.
happened. I mean, balls on them 10 years. I mean, that's like the right time that door
Oh
opens.
my
That is the
god.
first time that door opens to make that joke, but holy
That blew my mind. And because I never played the home version of the game, they removed it for the arcade version. They people got mad at that one. Another interesting thing is they actually had a female zombie enemy that was going to be like a common enemy in the game. But it ended up just looking like some old lady. So they had to remove that too. Um,
I don't want to shoot grandma.
yeah, yeah. Finding out about this game was really fun, and it was one of those games like Indianapolis tried to ban for like violence or gore or whatever, like in the '90s, like the whole big like Night Trap and whatever.
Oh, tipper sticker nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, where they were just trying to get violent games banned in the '90s. So what they said was like the House of the Dead was obscene and it didn't fall or because it was so obscene, it didn't fall under the First Amendment. So the judge for the case had to actually review the game on his own at length. He ultimately found that the ban of the game was unconstitutional. But then he said in an interview, he said the most violent video game in the record, The House of the Dead depicts zombies being killed flamboyantly, with much severing of limbs and effusion of blood, but so stylized and patiently fictitious is the cartoon-like depiction that no one would suppose it to be obscene, in the sense in which a photograph of a person being decapitated might be described as obscene. It will not turn anyone's stomach. So that's pretty badass. He's just like, yeah, you're killing like crazy, but like it's no one's gonna think it's real, right? Um, but yeah, so it has like this game has a really cool like kind of history. I'm sure there was a lot more on it that I could have found, but
We have more titles in this series to go, Sonny, so you might have to
yeah,
save some of those tidbits for next time.
exactly. And luckily, there's more games to review along with those movies too, so it can only get better, right?
Well,
Right?
all I can say is
Right?
this conversation's about to take a whole other wild turn.
Yeah, because there's wow, oh god, there's three movies. There's three.
It always comes
But yeah, the first one,
in three.
oh boy, what do you know about the first one, Elmer?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you all, if you've never met him before, to a man whom I've known for quite some time in my
Oh
life.
boy.
Virtually all of my adult life, and probably, I would say, probably since I was in middle school, I've known of this man. Which introduce you to the one and only Uwe Boll.
Yep.
Germany's only Uwe Boll.
Good lord.
So Uwe Boll is a director. He's a businessman first, he's a director second, is what he's like to say. I shouldn't say, he doesn't even call himself a director. He calls himself
He should
an auteur, a filmmaker.
Oh boy.
Mr. Boll found out that there's tax loopholes within, or there was within German film. So I should say before I get to that, Uwe Boll, his entire filmography is basically him trying to push boundaries. That's all he did in all of his movies, is pushing boundaries in terms of what he could get away with, what his audience could take for entertainment. He is the director version, the living embodiment in my mind, of the old troll meme from back in the day. And I'll get to that right now. So Mr. Boll was basically given carte blanche for this film because of a German tax law for German film that the government would actually pay 50% of your budget. German insurance companies operate similar, or at least they did on film, as basically how it worked in the old movie, or I should say old movie, in the Mel Brooks classic, The Producers. Where, if you take insurance out on your film, if it were to lose money at the box office, you would be able to recoup that same loss from the insurance company. Or at least for a write-off on your taxes.
This is so stupid. Why would you do that, Germany?
No joke. For 90% of Boll's career, he was able to write off every single... None of his films ever made money at the box office. None of them ever broke even. None of them even came close to breaking even. But, because it was basically a tax haven, he was able to come out squeaky clean on the other side.
Oh, that makes me so mad.
And I'll just move over into this quickly. So, Mr. Boll, as well, is also a connoisseur of fine cuisine, and he actually owns a restaurant in Ontario, Canada, which, after he self-retired from filmmaking in 2016, because he couldn't get funding for Rampage 6, or whatever the fuck it was. Anyway, threw a bitch fit on the internet and then retired from directing. Basically, a self-appointed exile. And everybody cheered and had a good time. And then he went into the restaurant business, and apparently his restaurant is doing quite well, and it sounds pretty good, actually. They say, hey, if you're ever in the Ontario area and they have a reservation open, check it out. So it's like, good at you, Yuva. And now he's gone back into filmmaking again. So before we get into actually talking about the
boy.
film, I'll just say this. Basically, Sega was like, hey, we got an idea for a movie. Anybody got a pitch for us, pretty much? I would like to do this. Bull came in and said, hey, I can shoot the movie quick and cheaply and stuff like that. I've got a couple other films under my belt, some English language ones out of Canada. So you got the tax break up there. You got the German tax break as well. Just let me do this. That's what they did. I'll go into this more once we get into a couple other movies of his. But Yuva Boll is famous for something called Raging Bull, where what he did is with movie critics. They, people being mean to him on the internet pretty much. Bull said, I would like to meet these people in person, and I challenged them to a boxing match.
What a jackass.
A few of them actually came and did it. And they came and they met him, and they all said, Yuva is like one of the nicest people you could ever meet. He's very down to earth. He's very knowledgeable about film, because apparently he's actually a fan of filmmaking and stuff like that. They said he's the nicest guy on the planet, and we were, this is pretty fun. This is interesting, because they actually sat down for dinner with him. They shared drinks and whatnot, and then he goes, okay, now it's time to go to the boxing ring. So they go into the boxing ring, and they're like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? And that's when the person who was basically in the corner with him leaned over and said, oh, by the way, Yuva's a semi-amateur boxer. He's a what now? Which he would then proceed to kick the shit out of people for 3 rounds apiece.
What an asshole.
Yeah, he's a bit of a dick.
Well,
and he also...
You didn't like my picture?
Also, he basically declared war on Michael Bay, saying he'd like to kick his ass. And Michael Bay had the best response. He just basically went, I don't even know who the hell you are. So, by the way, if either of us in our DMs get a message from a Mr. UB out of Canada in the next couple of days, we might want to start watching our backs.
I ain't gonna fight you, Yuba.
I'm just gonna laugh at you.
Yeah, I'll just keep talking shit.
Oh, that's the other thing. So this guy is just known for making movies that are in bad taste whatsoever. He made the fucking Postal movie. He made the Postal movie that has the guy who played No Soup for You, the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. He plays Osama bin Laden in that film.
Of course he does.
So in 2006, because Levy here got excited when he saw that this The House of the Dead here had a 3% on Rotten Tomato meter score.
Oh,
and I said, well, it's better than one of his other films that he made that was in really bad taste. And you're like, what's that? And I go, well, I can't tell you right now, but I'll tell you right now. His film titled Auschwitz.
Oh my god.
Film critics boycotted the film, saying, not in your fucking life am I watching a Yuba Bowl Holocaust movie.
Jesus.
But the best part is, he filmed it the same time he was making Blood Rain 3, The Third Reich.
Oh, I forgot there's multiple Blood Rain movies too. What the fuck, Yuva? Stop.
So does that mean, are we going to have to do a double feature of Blood Rain Third Reich as well as Auschwitz, just because we know they're sister films?
Don't. It's gonna be hard enough just to do a Blood Rain movie.
Yeah, no, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, this is
I've passed kidney stones easier than these films. Holy Christ.
Every once in a while I'm like, was it really a good idea to start this podcast, or am I just torturing myself?
The minute he pitched this to me, I smiled, I chuckled, and I went, oh god, you've a bull. Literally exactly that. I looked him dead in the eye and said, that's a fun idea, but you've a bull.
Yeah, and I have a list of movies that I go through when we're trying to pick what to watch. And I literally just have a section that says, don't make me list the Yuva Bowl movies.
Well, we got the first one out of the way. Do we want to go in descending order from here?
Descending order or descending madness? Because...
Well, or I should say ascending up to... because let's put it this way, up next is Alone in the Dark, which some people say is the definite worst of his films, but no, I'd say this is probably the worst. At least that I've seen. And I've seen dozens of...
we should... we should maybe leave the next episode.
Oh no, we're not gonna. No, I don't mean we're gonna do that. I'm just saying, what should we do?
Oh, the Yuva Bowl movies in
Yeah.
ascending order.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do
Okay.
that.
Oof. Well, up next is Alone in the Dark with Christian Slater, which also features the single hit from Nightwish. That fucking song. Sorry. Wish I Had an Angel by Nightwish, the single they released for the film that Yuva Bolt directed the music video for.
So
And I know how much you love you some Nightwish.
I was just gonna say Nightwish is like a running joke for my entire family. Like my dad hates them obviously just as much as us kids do, but like I remember one year for Father's Day, my dad doesn't drink or like listen to rock music or anything. He's just a nice old man. But I called him on Father's Day and I said, "Oh, hey, Pops, what you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm sitting on the couch drinking beer and listening to Nightwish." And then we laughed and laughed. uh,
Yeah, well, unfortunately, there was the time I called my parents and I said, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just sitting on the couch watching The Prince of Persia." And I laughed. I said, "Well, why? What's on tonight?" He goes, "No, seriously, I'm watching The Prince of Persia."
oh, with Jake
And
Gyllenhaal.
I went, "Oh no!" He goes, "I know, get me out of here." She turned it on.
Your dad's so nice, though. He'll just watch anything as long as your mom says so.
I caught that son of a bitch watching the newest Robin Hood movie 4 times. I walked in, I'm like, "This was playing earlier today." He goes, "Yeah, so?" I go, "You're watching it again."
By his own free will?
Yeah. The Taron Egerton, or whatever the hell the guy from Kingsman. Yeah, that crappy looking Robin Hood movie that no one saw from
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Weird. Well, okay, let's you got anything else about the movie here or?
Pretty much just that it was a giant tax shelter that no one gave a shit about.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could really tell that no one gave a shit.
Oh,
So
God.
the movie starts out just a group of rich kids. You don't know who they are or what their goal is, really. But it's that cheesy thing where it's like 2 seconds of some guys laughing, and then it freezes. Like, "This is my friend Jeremy." Like, we're about to do this, and it's like that like freeze frame monologue, just cheesy bullcrap. Like, you see that in a movie in the opening scene, and you know it's gonna be a bad movie.
It's the meme and the Bajer joke in MacGruber of, I bet you wonder how I got here. This is me. And, there's Bob O'Reilly playing in the background pretty much. So.
Yeah, so you find out this group of rich kids, they're on their way to a rave that's on some private island, because that's what rich kids do in the early 2000s.
Yep, they, quote unquote, because they try to make it look, at least with how people are dressing, try to make it seem tropical, but you're looking at this island, you're like, "No, this is Canada, guys." This is Canada.
Yeah, and it's just, yeah, they don't really give any backstory except for they like go to get on the boat to go to the island, and the boat's gone. So then they hire this fishing boat, where one of the crewmen is what's his name,
Clint Howard, and the other one is celebrated German actor Jürgen Prognau. And they actually make a Das Boot joke in this. Oh, and I think my blood pressure almost dropped to 0 and I had to hear that joke again. And the best part is I leaned over to Levy during this and I go, "Yep, Clint Howard in this. The famous Clint Howard, who is the ugly guy in every movie you've ever seen."
Yep.
Which he has said that himself. "I'm that weird looking guy." I leaned over to Levy. I said, "Just think, in 2003 at the Howard Thanksgiving table, they were giving Ron Howard congratulations for his win for A Beautiful Mind for Best Picture." And then they'd go, "Clint, what have you been up to?" "I was in House of the Dead."
Yeah, and like his character, just like most characters, just like over the top. But that's okay. It's a bad movie, so you'll just learn to expect it. But yeah, within the first 10 seconds of this movie, I was going, Elmer, I hate this. I hate this so much. Um, so yeah, they hire this fishing boat to take them to the island, and you find out
That the
that
fishing boat is being tracked by who
yep,
he first thought was the cops. I first thought was the Coast Guard. One of my favorite Simpsons jokes about Ryan. I'll lay off making fun of you Coast Guard guys from now on. You Navy rejects are all right. But yep, nope, not the Coast Guard, not the local PD. No, they are the what was it? The
the Marine.
yes, Marine Border Patrol.
Yeah,
Because as it turns out, Jurgen Prognau is a smuggler of guns and cigars.
yep. So they go out to this island, being followed by the border patrol. Uh, Gosh, they find out the island is called like Isla de Muertes or something.
El de Muertes, yes.
So they get
Which they
there.
bring up every single time. The island of death.
Yeah, that Muertes is Spanish for death. They say that a couple times. Yeah, and then they like get there. Pretty much everyone that was there partying is already dead.
Which, oh my god, these rave sequences.
Oh my gosh.
It's like house music out of like a Need for Speed game.
So it's
As they're standing in the middle of a clearing in the woods with the shittiest looking stage you've ever seen set up, little style like little canopy set up with milk crates in the background holding bottles of alcohol and then kegs underneath folding tables. And all that's happening is 30 people are awkwardly shuffling to some some music
Yeah,
that's probably not even playing, as there are two giant Sega batterns on stage, and
yeah.
it's just like this is a joke, right? This has
Yeah,
to be a joke.
it's a Sega DJ playing for a crowd of 25 people. Yeah. Um, it's hilarious. And then so let's talk about the soundtrack real quick,
Oh boy.
because the soundtrack for this movie is pretty much the same genre throughout the entire thing. And it all sounds like techno music that was made in the early to mid 90s. Where it's just very repetitive and like maybe not so bad at one point in time, but it is like I don't know. It's hard to listen to.
It is. It's oh,
And I like electronic music, even like old techno. Um, so I really can't. It's really hard to explain without just having to show it to you guys. But
the best. I think how I kind of described it to you was great. I was like, it's like the music from the movie, the Jet Li movie, The One, but minus the new metal. Is the best way to describe what this sounded like.
you get a lot of that, like like spy movies or whatever from like the mid '90s, where you just had that like bow 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 bow.
It's the music that they played before the coming soon to DVD.
Yeah, yeah.
You wouldn't steal a car.
Like if one of those songs came across my Spotify, I would probably skip it, but I wouldn't hate it. But this movie made me hate it.
A movie so bad it made you rethink your entire taste in music.
Yeah.
Not since the Gary Glitter documentary, but he
Oh,
immediately turned on my iPod playlist.
Oh God. But yeah, so they finally start to wonder like, where is everyone? And it doesn't really get much better than this. Uh, they end up like finding the cameraman from the rave, like hiding in the house that's on the island.
With a few other people.
And he shows them the footage that he got of the zombies attacking people at the rave. And then like a minute later, he's dead.
And mind you, this guy looks, and this is no joke, He looks like the porno parody version of Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead and the Boondock Saints. It's just like, is
Yeah.
he?
Yeah, and then gosh, they decide to run back to the boat and try to get off the island.
Oh, mind you, we should say, and actually probably the one sort of reference to the game series that actually works quite well is that the entire film there's a scantily clad gal of Asian descent who is wearing only a red, white, and blue romper. Or is it more like a bodysuit? It's like a body
It's
stocking, but more kind of like a
like a
romper.
jumpsuit, yeah, like
It's just that it had like bell bottom kind of legs.
like a onesie jumpsuit bell bottom American flag thing. It was
It's
oh,
whatever
she's
the
cute, but
yeah, I was gonna say it was whatever the hell Dazzler from the X Men was running around it. But yes, no, and some people say that that's just crowd pleasing. It's fan service or whatever. But no, I mean anybody who's never played those games, I mean that just immediately comes across the board
it
right
was
there.
it was very fitting. Just like that would definitely be like something that they'd make the game character wear,
Oh,
like
definitely,
for
yeah.
sure.
No, just like Quentin Tarantino in From Dusk Till Dawn, sucking on Selma Hayek's toes. Very, very good.
But yeah, they decide to try and just leave the island before the zombies find them or whatever. And then this is, of course, when the zombies find them. Because writing movies is hard.
Now, when you get to make all the references you want to other movies that came before it to fill in the blanks, like you just start incessantly talking about George A. Romero movies in this.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then, well, no, I'll talk about that at the end. Um, yeah, so they try to get back to the boat. They get attacked by zombos, and then
Oh, the Border Patrol lady comes back.
yeah, the border patrol lady comes and saves them, and apparently has just a fully automatic assault rifle because
Border Patrol.
border patrol.
Which, that's the thing. It's the Border Patrol along the Canadian border there that are being that over the top and violent and being like that sort of suspicious of our heroes and stuff. I'm like, okay, I could see this playing out in the original script. Oh yeah, this has to be somewhere in the Caribbean, or it's like the southern part of California or something like that. That's why
It's just pine trees everywhere.
I
You
think
know
they
exactly where it
realized,
is.
oh, no one's gonna notice, right?
Oh God. Um, yeah, this movie just got more and more frustrating as time went on.
And we forgot to mention throughout all of this, and this is before we get to the major action set pieces that we're about to
I think I know what you
rear
mean.
its ugly head. Randomly, there will be flashes of gameplay footage from the original House of the
Yeah,
Dead.
just randomly, without reason, just like a quick 2 second video clip of a zombie from the game being shot, and then it just goes back to the movie.
Which was even funnier during the opening credit sequence when Levy, it took him about halfway through it to realize, wait a minute, did they just like desaturate and just like digitize like actual gameplay footage from the game or something? And I just start laughing. I go, yep. And he goes, that's really lazy. And I went, just you wait.
Yeah, it's oh, and it is like for no reason, and it's like every 2 minutes, like oh, it's so stupid.
But then
And-
everybody gets a gun.
yeah, then the guy that smuggling guns gives everyone guns, and then immediately all these rich kids are like
John Wick.
yeah, combat experts. So they're just being badass and shooting things, and yeah, the old fisher boat captain guy gets fucked up, and they hold themselves up in a house, and
Oh, we forgot to mention my favorite shot of the whole movie when Zombie goes running and he jumps and he goes springing out of a
Oh.
hole. You can see the trampoline that he jumped on in the dark.
and another thing is, for some reason, they also have just a shit ton of grenades. And when these grenades go off, it's like full fireball, uh, like impact that sends people flying. Like I don't know what kind of grenades they're using, but
The kind that they had in the movie Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger that was made, 17 years earlier? That was a joke? And this is apparently not a joke?
yeah, it's bad.
We forgot to mention the zombies in this. They look like something out of Scooby Doo. They look like pirate ghosts, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. This movie, like especially with the makeup and special effects and everything. I mean, I'm sure the team that was working on it did what they could with the budget they were giving, but it looks like an episode of Goosebumps.
How dare you say that, sir? The episodes of One Day in Horrorland stand head and shoulders above the production value of this.
It's true. It's true. Um, yeah, just not good. But yeah, they end up in this house just for the point of being able to figure out what made the zombies is this lab filled with some weird blood to keep some old guy alive for eternity.
My favorite line of the whole movie. Why do you want to be immortal? To live forever!
No. uh, yeah, so eventually, old fisherman guy blows himself up outside of the house, but still close enough to destroy the house and put everyone inside in danger.
Jurgen Prognow stands up, grabs a stick of dynamite and a lit cigar, walks out of the house, and tells them, shut the door and get down. It's like, keep walking, numbnuts!
Take another 30 steps there, fucko.
Or, maybe just hook the dynamite at the big crowd of zombies that are
Right.
further ahead of you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just stupid. Just a lot of things that didn't need to happen and are just so, so stupid.
I pose for you the question, though, after we're done watching this. Is this just because of the incompetence of Yuva Boll as a writer and director? Or is that him going, oh, we can put whatever the hell we want in this movie, and the dorks that are coming out to see this movie, the plebes that are coming out to see this movie will see it right up no matter what?
Um, it might be a little of both, but mostly probably incompetence. Also, when you have a movie this stupid and this low budget, anyone you get working on it is not gonna give a fuck.
And no one in this film gave a fuck.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, eventually, everyone but one guy dies.
Which he then brings his girlfriend back from the dead using the powers. And
Yeah.
as the guys in suits stand there going, we're here to rescue you. What is your name? He goes, Rudolph. I go, Rudolph, what's your last name? He goes, Kyrian. And dun dun dun! That's the main bad guy from the original games.
Whoa.
Also, this is my impression of him. Ha! May have won the battle.
Yeah, it was really cheesy, not very well thought out. But um, once it was, oh wait, we forgot to talk about the House of the Dead rap.
Oh.
What a thing of beauty, ladies and gentlemen. This, like the second this song came on, I had to put my head in my hands. It was it was so cringe.
It was a thing of beauty, guys.
Let's see, can you find a recording of it?
I'm no.
Here, let me see if
You
I can
want to?
find it. I'll play a couple seconds of it if I can find it.
No, I just had to look up one quick thing about it because I just remembered someone who's in the second one. Now I'm trying to remember if this guy did the music for this one. Let's see.
This could be it. Oh, House of No.
Oh, thank God. No, it's Razor Burner. Never mind. No, so in the in the second one, the music is done by, because he also stars in it, is everybody's favorite rapper from the mid 2000s, Sticky Fingers.
Is this it? Yeah. It's bad. It's bad.
making
Um,
stuff.
yeah, so before we get into our opinions, I guess, our bops or flops, I will say that this has to be the worst movie that we're gonna watch on this podcast, right?
I hope. I really, really hope.
This might be the worst movie I've seen, and I've seen some doozies thanks to this guy.
And I was joking with him too. I said, I'm very thankful that we were able to watch this film by the way that we were able to, because while I do technically own a copy of this, it is unplayable. And he looks at me and goes, "What do you mean by that?" And I go, "Well, I had a copy of it, and then I shot it with a shotgun, and all that survived was a portion of the disc and a portion of the little menu slash special features brochure and the inside of the DVD. Yes, that's how long ago this movie came out. This movie's 19 years old this year. Yikes. And it just basically was just a perfect thing. I just said, oh, shit like that. And I was left, and the entire bottom and top were just blown to hell and back.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
But apparently, Alone in the Dark is supposed to be worse. I don't remember it being worse. I remember it kind of being better, but not by much.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get worse. So on that note, I think everyone knows what we're gonna say, Elmer. But was this a bop or a flop?
In every single sense of the word, this was a flop.
Yeah, I completely agree. This was the floppiest House of the Dead.
Oh,
It was so. I will, man. I was gonna say I will never watch this movie again, but I would if I was drunk enough.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
you could make me watch it again, but
You get to see these zombies pulling like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon moves going through the woods, and you can see the trampolines they're bouncing on Rachel.
so one thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about the clips from the game that they actually put into the movie was just the one scene transition that they used in the entire movie.
It came out of nowhere. It's just like, whoa.
Just every scene was like a cut, or they'd use like the video game footage as like a stinger. Um, but just once in the movie, you just had like the split video like come down and meet in the middle, and it was so jarring. And then it never happened again. It's like, what the fuck is going on? It was, oh man,
I just imagine the editor, he gets like a note back from Yuva after like their first test screening. Oh, you forgot to put in a transition here. He goes, ah, crap, I'm going on vacation. Screw it.
And I think I said like, how does he have worse transitions than George Lucas?
and wipe, and this time this way wipe.
Yeah. So for that plus many other reasons, this movie was a flop. Definitely. I hated it, but I had a couple beers, so I got to talk about the game, which I really like. So I'm still happy at the end of the day. But dear Lord.
And I got to talk about one of my favorite just cult of personalities within film, Yuva Bull. And while I may have said besmirching marks against him, Yuva, wherever you are up there in your self-isolation in Canada, just know I love who you are. I hate what you became.
Yeah.
Now I'm afraid to ask, what are we talking about next week?
So next week, um, we could talk about a better movie, like maybe the World of Warcraft movie, or something that's kind of different, or we could leave it a mystery for everyone and maybe see if we can get a guest star or something to talk about a movie that they like.
That might be a fun one. Yeah, maybe we should do that.
Yeah, so let's leave it a mystery, and we'll see what we can come up with for you guys next week. But on that note, We're live on Twitch on Sundays. Not every Sunday, but we're going to try to make close to that anyway. Twitch TV/Lebby. And that should be about 6 p.m. Central Time, maybe a little bit later, depending on if the movie runs late. You can also find us on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you can find your podcasts. If you're having trouble finding us at GameLink, you can just go to anchor.fm/game-link, and all the links to the stuff is there. Also, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/GameLink, where you can give a couple bucks a month to help support us, and you'll get access to our bonus episodes once we start doing those, as well as our Q&As. And yeah, I can't really think of anything else.
What we have going on later this week?
Wait, what's going on later this week?
Our guest starring on Thor, where we're going to be talking about Vice City.
Oh, is that this week already?
I believe it is. I'll take a quick peek.
That might be this week. So we've talked about our buddies podcast a few times before. Thor's Hour of Thunder. I believe it is this week. If Elmer can double check here, we'll be talking about an episode of Miami Vice. Is that what we're talking about?
Yep. And it's on this Thursday, March 3rd. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be doing an episode of Miami Vice. Because as anybody who's ever played Grand Theft Auto Vice City can tell you, that game is just pure 1980s, just neon-soaked, just grossness. That is Florida.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to watch Miami Vice. Is between that and Scarface, and it's kind of illegal for us to... It's illegal for everybody over the age of 22 to watch Scarface that doesn't have a kid already. So, we're kind of had to bow out on that one. But yeah, so we're going to watch an episode of Miami Vice, talk about that, and how it correlates to the game Vice City, which I'm very excited for because I grew up watching Miami Vice and I love that show.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So we'll post a link in our Discord or wherever once that is up. Which, by the way, if you're watching on Twitch, you can find a link to our Discord below. But on that note, we're going to call it a night. I'm glad you could... listen to us complain about this shitty movie. So I hope everyone has a great week. We'll see you next weekend.
See you guys. Hang in there, stay safe, stay sexy.